Hello, I am Ma'am Jane and welcome to our creative nonfiction class. Today, we will explore the literary elements or a part of a story. So what do we mean by literary element? Literary means stories and element means essential component of something. Therefore, when we say literary elements, these are essential components of a story. We will discuss the six literary elements such as the character, setting, plot, conflict, theme, and point of view. I will discuss to you the basic meaning and basic examples of literary elements from the novel The Diary of Anne Frank. The main goal of this video is to give you the basic explanations of literary elements and help you identify literary elements within a nonfiction story. Literary elements has some complex details, but in this video we will just cover only the basic to explain each. Writers use literary elements to tell their stories. These are the writer's tools that they use words to present their stories. The first literary element is the characters. Characters refer to a person, an animal, or an object in the story. They are described or characterized based upon their personalities, actions, appearance, and thoughts. So in the Diary of Anne Frank, the characters are Otto Frank, who is Anne's polite and practical father, Edith Frank, who is Anne's reserved and nervous mother, and also Margaret Frank, who is Anne's older sister. So there were other characters in the Diary of Anne Frank, but these three are the main characters. So characters may be considered or classified into two. It can be classified as protagonist and antagonist. Protagonist is leading character in the story, so he is considered as the main character. On the other hand, antagonist is the character opposing the main character. Next is conflict. Conflict is the central problem that arises in the story. Conflict adds excitement and suspense to the readers. Sometimes conflict usually becomes clear and stated even at the beginning of the story. So this refers to the drives of the characters who are actually involved in the story. So we have kinds of conflict. The first one is man versus man. This is the conflict between the protagonist and the other characters in the story. So next is man versus himself. This is a conflict that the struggle that takes place inside the character's mind, having guilt feelings about the principles, beliefs, and values that he has. We also have man versus society. This conflict arises when the main character has a strong belief against the society or in the community. Last one is man versus nature. This is a conflict between the character and the forces of nature that are beyond his or her control. So in the Diary of Anne Frank, there are two conflicts. The first one is man versus himself, where Anne struggles with isolation and boredom. So in the Diary of Anne Frank, as you can read it, Anne usually writes only in her diary. On the other hand, it also occurs the conflict of man versus man, wherein Anne always write about Mr. and Mrs. Van Daan, who always quarrel and having their argument all the time. So the rest of the people or the occupants in the annex or in the place get almost affected because of their arguments. So we have the setting, where it is considered the time and place in which a story takes place. So this is where and when the story takes place. The details of a setting includes the time, the historical period wherein the general period of the plot and the main location of the story. In the novel of the Diary of Anne Frank, the setting there is the secret annex. This is in a German-occupied Amsterdam during the World War II. Next is the plot. The plot is also known or also called as narrative arc. So this is the series of events that make up a story. We have the exposition, the conflict, rising action, climax, falling action, and resolution. So in the novel of Diary of Anne Frank, it is a well diary, so it doesn't follow a classic plot pattern. Next is the point of view. We talk about point of view, which refers to the voice in which the story is told. So it is the set of eyes that the author uses to let the reader see the action unfold. The voice telling the story is called narrator. So in the novel The Diary of Anne Frank, the point of view is the first person point of view because the story is told through Anne's eyes and it was actually told through Anne's voice. The last one is the theme, which is the central idea of the writer's work. So it is sometimes related to the author's conflict. This is also known as an observation of human behavior. In the novel of Diary of Anne Frank, the main theme there is about being selfless of Anne Frank. So Anne Frank risks her own life for the sake of other people. So the main theme of Diary of Anne Frank is sacrifice is being selfless. It is also one of the themes in the Diary of Anne Frank is about loneliness and isolation of adolescents. Our lesson for literary elements are already complete for today. I hope that this video helped you to know and understand what literary elements are and help you understand and identify them in a nonfiction stories. Again, my name is Jane and see you on our next class.